I really don't want to talk about Kanye, or Ye as he has changed his name to. So I'm going to kind of talk around him. Well, just to give you some background, he has been in the news as of late. Some anti-Semitic marks have came out. White Lives Matter t-shirts he's been rocking. He's decided now he wants to buy the conservative right wing leaning social media site Parler, because he got kicked off of Instagram and Twitter
because of his
for
anti-Semitic
those
comments.
anti-Semitic comments. So now he's decided he wants to buy Parler so he can have his free speech and yada yada yada. So we'll see how that goes. But what I really wanted to talk about is the people or programs or outlets who are still, I guess, present company included, because we're a media outlet and we're talking about it. So whether we're kind of shading him for his antics or praising him, he's getting the
We're
publicity.
still talking
So
about it.
right. But two things I wanted to highlight was the fact that Kanye really, I guess seems like he's doing some sort of press run or press junket, because he went to Tucker Carlson and Fox News and he spewed some of those anti-Semitic
And he's
marks.
been wearing that 2024 hat, so I guess alluding to another presidential run. I don't know.
At any rate, so he's trying to do this press junket, it seems like, to get this press. So he's gone to the right wing with the Fox News, and he made the announcement he's going to buy this right wing social media app. He also tried to do his thing on our side and went to a popular show called The Shop, which is kind of run by LeBron James is
And Maverick Carter.
his business partner and agent and things of that nature. So they have like a podcast where they kind of chop it up and kind of talk shop. They had Kanye come on. They decided, I don't know if it was because of the things he said
It
in
was
some of
things
the
he
other
said.
shows. Well, what I was trying to get to,
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's the things he said on the other shows or something he said on their show that they decided to say, nah, we're not going to air that episode
It's what he said on their show.
on
So
their show
Maverick
specifically.
Carter, yeah, he did
Okay.
come out and make a statement and said that before they even filmed, Maverick Carter had a sit down with him and talked to
Mm-hmm.
him about what their expectations were. So
Right.
he felt after having that conversation with Kanye that when they got on the show, he was going to be
Kind
a,
of.
a decent person.
Right.
And
Right.
he got on there and bait and switched.
Okay.
And so they
So
didn't air it.
So they decided to pull the episode. Unlike Drink Champs, which is a super popular podcast slash video. I don't know what they're calling vlog podcasts anymore, but they're popular on YouTube. Super popular podcast where their guests come on, they get drunk, they kind of get high, they get inebriated, and then this truth serum or whatever starts to come out. Well, they decided to have Kanye West on as well.
After all of this.
After all of this, right. Nori, which is the main celebrity, used to be a popular rapper, New York rapper. He, in the midst of all this, says, yeah, we run the internet. We're going to bring Kanye on and we want to make sure everybody get a voice, get a platform, yada, yada, yada. Excuse me. Brought Kanye on. In the midst of all this, Kanye went on Drink Champs and spewed all this anti-Semitic stuff and all these other things in addition to the right. Talked about how George Floyd, he didn't die because George Floyd didn't die because he had a knee to his neck. He died because he had fentanyl in his system, and that's what gave him cardiac arrest. Right, which so after the fact, which is proven. That ain't no conspiracy. That the autopsy and all that stuff came out. So the fact that Kanye was still saying that stuff was wild. But even more wild to that is Nori and anybody else on the show really didn't check him on it.
Freedom of speech.
Right.
Which so people don't understand what freedom of speech is.
Right. And I don't have time to even talk about it because if you don't know, I can't help you.
Read it. Go to Google. Read a book. Go to a civics class. I mean, it's not that difficult.
And then to make matters worse, Nori isn't the person that I would look to kind of educate me on free speech. So that in and of
No.
itself is an issue. So after they recorded the show, edited the show, uploaded and published the show, got all the black.
And what's the other word I'm looking for? Um Publicized it.
Right, right, right,
Publicized the show.
right. Got all the backlash in the world. So much so that Nori came on the Breakfast Club and had to apologize. And his apology was
Apologize. Apologize.
right, right. His stance was I it took me I was drunk, which is the whole point of Drink Champs.
Lie.
So
Apologize.
right, I didn't catch it as fast as I should have because I was inebriated.
Apologize
And
number 2.
right, and I did call him on it, but it was later, but it was after we had edited, and by that time it went out and everybody only
Apologize number
got
3.
right, everybody only saw the first clip. So, I just want to call, and he called, talked to DJ Envy and Charlemagne and Angela Yee.
They are so much
And
better to talk to.
basically saying, I wanted to give him a platform and I messed up. I apologize. I want to apologize to the George Floyd family because that's not what actually went down, yada, yada,
Yes, it
yada.
is.
So the whole point I'm trying to make to this was people knew what Kanye was about and still decided to give him a platform to spew these things because he is such an attraction.
And
And
it
they
gets views
know,
and clicks
and it
and
gets
likes.
thousands and thousands of views and thousands, if not millions of likes. Everybody talks about it. Again, present company included. We're talking about it on our show. So it is
Even
a
though we
big
put it off, we
draw.
try not to talk about it.
We do. We end up doing it. So it's
Yeah.
like, again, personal responsibility, accountability, all those things, right? But the fact that they are actually bringing him on the show and thinking that they can kind of steer Kanye in some sort of direction or get to him or reason with him or
I don't even
intervene or whatever.
Yeah, even in the shop case, I could see maybe where they tried to intervene because they had the conversation before he went on the show. But let's be
Mhm.
clear. Drink Champs, Nori, DJ Effin, all of them brought him on that show because they knew what he was going to say. They
Right.
knew how he was going to respond, even
Right.
so much so that after it was live, Nori posted
Hmm.
that they got more hits than the NFL. So, no,
Right.
you can keep your apologies because I blame all of these people. They've
Hmm.
seen what Kanye has been on for months and
Hmm.
honestly for years, and they
Right.
still bring him on because they are still, you know, they're just sluts for the publicity.
They're
They will
using him.
do,
They're
yeah,
trying to
they'll do
use his.
whatever they
Yep.
can to get the benefit for themselves. And
Hmm.
then when they get called on it and people call them to the carpet, particularly Black people,
Hmm.
then they want to say, I'm sorry, I apologize. No, I don't. I mean, I don't have a way, it's not on me to accept or deny their apology. That should slowly come with the family of George Floyd. That should
Hmm.
come with Jewish people. But no, I don't. I personally don't accept it for the assault on my ears and on my timeline because you knew exactly. You knew exactly what you were
Hmm.
doing. You knew
Hmm.
exactly what you were going to get, and you
Hmm.
got it because you got those metrics, you got the hits, you got the views. Now that it's all said and done, and you already have those metrics that you can monetize,
Hmm.
now you want to come back and say you're sorry.
And try
Now
to
you
clean
want to
it
come
up.
back and said you should have done better. Now you want to come back and apologize to this man's family and his young daughter for slandering him on all of these platforms. And now you're trying to keep from getting sued because now the family of that little girl is they're coming after you. And now
Hmm.
you want to try and clean up and no. I know because you know exactly what you were doing. And I
Right.
say I don't accept it because they know exactly what they were doing. When he
Right.
was being anti-black, when he was talking about slavery as a choice, white lives matter, none of these platforms did anything. to him. They let him spew, they let him continue. But then when he crossed the line and became anti Semitic, then they started pulling his access, give
Right.
restricting his access. So it's okay to be anti-black. It's okay to try and denigrate this man who is no longer here, who has a young child, who now has to hear all this. Now that it's not just anti-black, he can have his, mental health episodes, which only seem to affect anti-blackness. It doesn't seem to his episodes doesn't seem to cause him to lash out at white people. It doesn't seem
It's
to
crazy, right?
lash out at rich people. It's like his mental episodes are
Right.
are are race specific, class specific,
Which is
and it's
crazy.
which is crazy. And that is why I don't accept the shop should have never done that. And they had their show was on HBO, and
Mm-hmm.
they brought in different athletes and then musicians, and they were getting their haircut while they're like the
Mm-hmm.
barbershop.
Right.
So it's one of those things where you had genuine discourse on topics that were affecting the country and the culture, and you knew what you were doing. You know that Kanye has been on this. There is no amount of talking that Maverick,
Intervention,
LeBron,
reasoning,
none of that.
logic.
They
Right.
knew exactly what he was going to do, yet they proceeded with the filming. Good on the
Mm-hmm.
shop for never airing it, but Drink Champs, you are on. I never watched it anyway. I saw kind
Right.
of clips from people, but you
Mm-hmm.
knew exactly what you were doing. You publicized it. You even shouted out, "Oh, we're better than the NFL." And now you want to try and backtrack? No. Mm-mm.
Right.
You
And
know
now,
exactly what you're doing.
and like you mentioned, now they may be in the center of a lawsuit against Kanye by the George Floyd family. You kind of made mention
Mhm.
to it because Kanye on the Drink Champs spewed those misinformation about how George Floyd passed. Now that the family is deciding whether or not, I don't know if it's been actually filed, but I know there's been talks to where the family is deciding whether or not they're going to bring a $250 million lawsuit against Kanye following comments he made about George Floyd's death, specifically on the Drink Champs podcast. So
Right.
again, what you do,
Drink
not
Champs
necessarily what
was
you
revoked. So Diddy, now he's
right,
in it.
right
So
now,
all these other people are in it because you're trying to
because
have a
you
viral moment.
because you, like you mentioned, you decided, okay, I'm going to roll the dice and I want to get all these views and clicks by bringing on a probably the most
POS.
polarizing, I was going to say polarizing,
Let's call it what it is.
right, person, out right now. So I hope it was worth it when this family has to bring Kanye to court and go through all this, which is probably going to be a news frenzy in and of itself. I hope those views and those people still trying to quote unquote reach out and reason with Kanye, I hope it's going to be worth it, because of some of the things he's going to say and some of the things he's going to do may work to get that initial popularity reach. But ultimately, is it worth it? I hope this is sending a message. That's, I guess, ultimately what I get to when you decide whether or not you want to reach out to a person like Kanye West.
No,
All right.
because I think they realize that they'll get more on the
On the
front
front
end
end,
than they have to pay out.
I don't know if he
Now,
is
if this
getting.
lawsuit goes forward and it actually goes through, then maybe. But your Fox News is those are $1 billion companies. They're gonna keep still having this dude on.
Well,
They're gonna
especially
keep
Fox News.
yeah,
I guess I'm
because it
referring
feeds
to.
into you're talking about culture,
I'm
our
talking about,
culture.
right,
Yeah,
because our culture, what we think, all he needs is a warm embrace and a hug, and Kanye will somehow come to his senses, and all we need is the right person or the right group of people to be able to resonate with Kanye, which I think he's far gone from that.
there ain't nobody
And
who can do this.
right, and my ultimate motto is everybody can't come, some folks are going to have to get left
Leave
behind.
them. Harriet Tubman left some of them. Some people got to get
Exactly.
left.
Right. Some people, everybody can't come.